Hey, Heidi. I just wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me today.
Of course. Thank you, Cassidy.
Yeah, absolutely. So the goal of this is really just to get to know you a little bit about you and your background and what you do. So I would love to just hear a little bit about you, about what maybe inspired you to become a therapist.
Yeah. About 20 years ago, I started in this field in community mental health, and I worked with adults that had a severe diagnosis. Often I would see schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, personality disorders, individuals that were homeless, chronically homeless, um, complicated traumas, and I loved it. I love the work, and I came from a time where I would serve anyone that would walk through the door, and it was such an honor and privilege, and I walked through a lot of really challenging scenarios, with different folks, and, just very meaningful, and it's helped me really see that every person has a, unique experience and, deserve to be honored and, be treated as such, and so, I just look forward to moving forward in learning, how to help others, um, in applying, like, therapeutic theories and skills in moving forward, in a more diverse group now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing that. That is really powerful, and personally, I'm really grateful that there are people like you that take it upon themselves to be that helpful person to guide people as they're kind of going through. For a lot of people, it's like one of their darkest moments of their life, or just something really challenging. But they have the support there, so I really appreciate it. What was kind of the point where you decided this was like the field you want to get into? Was there um, yeah, what made you want to go to school for this even before maybe you got into the field? What was like the motivating factor if you want to share?
Boy, I think from a young age, I, had a real heart for just people that were in need and people that, um wanted to work through things, and um, I've always been really solution focused, and how do we resolve barriers that are in front of us as individuals, or like on a macro level even. And I'm not one that likes to be like stuck in a position, um, and so no matter what the circumstances, I am always looking and working hard to find a solution and to move forward.
Mhm. So it kind of felt like you were able to use that skill in a really helpful and like positive way that
Yeah,
made an impact on people.
yeah. And so I've always been pretty determined to to do that and to problem solve and to find the solution and to help an individual get to that, and figure out what that might look like for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate that. Um, I'm curious kind of what's something about you that maybe people wouldn't expect when they first meet you.
I would say maybe that I'm fairly direct in my approach, and I am also very relationship driven. So I want to create a space that is for the person that's coming in to receive services. And so,
Mhm.
how do we create a trusting space and make it theirs and build goals that they um, identify, while being authentic to myself, and being somewhat direct? So I ask challenging questions sometimes,
Yeah.
uh, and I'm not one to shy away from that. So I think that transparency and open communication is really important, and so I talk about that, and also honoring a person's comfort and having things be at their pace and their where they are as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
overall, yeah, pretty direct in my communication.
Yeah, I mean, I would say just from kind of the conversations I've had, that probably isn't something I would expect to find in you just because you're so sweet too. So I think that that's just goes to validate that like you can be both. You can have those different like facets of you and show up the way that you need to, depending on what they need.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's one of my strengths is like for a period of time in the 20 years I've worked in this field, I have worked with registered sex offenders and have learned a lot about some of their patterns and histories and have heard some stories and also worked with them to manage how not to reoffend. And um, so I kind of learned how to be like caring and also like true to the person that's in front of me
Yeah,
and to the
exactly.
challenges that they may be facing.
Yeah, and being able to like ask the hard questions in that
Hmm.
situation is so important. And like I think what you said earlier about being authentic to yourself, like and not crossing any of your own boundaries, as you're
Hmm.
trying to maybe help someone through something like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I'm curious what some like I know you talked a little bit about, your style, your therapeutic style. I'm curious if you have any specific approaches or like modalities that you tend to draw from.
Yeah. I would say that I have noticed in my work that there isn't one like evidence-based practice that fits for all, and that a combination of CBT and acceptance, ACT therapy, and DBT, and using kind of a variety of modalities and skills is most effective because humans are not um, simple like that. And I think like following a curriculum and giving a worksheet to like its tea is gonna probably do more of a disservice often times, and it takes out the relationship that can happen and really the work that can be done. And so drawing from different modalities based on the person and the relationship that you have and external factors is just important for a therapist to be open to.
Yeah. Yeah. So really taking the client as they present and making sure that that person is what's kind of telling you what to do with them.
Right. Yep. Yeah, and just being open to that and being able to pivot as well.
Yeah. So what does that feel like to the client, at least from what you can gather? If let's say you had to pivot or let's say you had to ask a direct question, like how does that feel for a client in that situation?
That they're in control and that it's safe to recognize when something comes up that they didn't expect and that it's okay to turn and to change our route or to consider this other thing that we hadn't before. It's okay to do that. And that's part of being human, right?
Yeah, because we don't always know,
We don't.
what we're gonna say or why we are the way we are, why we said that thing.